Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bittner and Ash Paulson to discuss what's in store for Nintendo's future in 2018, including the Switch, 3DS, mobile, Nintendo Directs, and whatever else we want to talk about. So let's get to it. Well guys, first things first, Happy New Year!
Yeah, Happy New Year! Yay, right? 2018.
So we are coming hot off one of Nintendo's best years in recent memory, and by recent memory I mean like the last 5 or 6 years. So the main question I want to get to is, do you think Nintendo can maintain the momentum for 2017 into 2018? We already know from Kimishima that they have high hopes for the Switch. I believe he said that they want to sell 20 million Switches worldwide within the next quarter or within the next fiscal year, which would be a huge amount. Do you think they'll meet that aspiration, and what's your overall expectation for Nintendo in 2018?
I think they have a very good chance of actually pulling it off. I think they ended the year very strongly. We know a basic idea of what they have planned for the spring. Nothing too concrete yet, but this is definitely something they can build off of. Like, we have some basics to keep people excited, some smaller games in the grand scheme of things, but still stuff that people are excited about. And then if this January Direct is a real thing, that's where you pump up the hype. That's where you show what you can do for the rest of 2018. They're starting out conservative for the year. We don't really know much, but there's a lot of building room for a really great lineup for this year. So I'm actually going into the 2018 very hopeful.
Spoilers, the January Direct is a real thing.
Yeah, if it is.
Yeah. Really, I agree. I mean, it's Nintendo's ball to drop. They've generated incredible momentum with the Switch throughout its first year and going into the end of its first year, and I don't see any reason they can't keep up that momentum. I mean, they've obviously figured out their pipeline issues that they had during the Wii U. You know, we know they initially had problems with HD development, and that's obviously not the problem anymore. And they've fixed their pipeline issues. I mean, they've not only got the strong schedule of like tentpole first-party releases going, but every week, as we've been saying, they just shore those up with a lot of fantastic indie games, seemingly every week. So there's no reason to assume that's going to stop, and I'm not at all worried that we don't have much of a roadmap yet about Nintendo's 2018 releases, because that'll come, you know, with directs and such, as it always does. I'm not at all sitting here at, you know, looking at 2018's, you know, kind of skimpy release schedule thinking, oh no, you know, the momentum's gonna die. No, it just means we don't know what's coming out yet, and I have no reason to believe that Nintendo's going to screw up this momentum they've generated. So I think they're looking good.
Yeah, Nintendo's done a great job so far of maintaining basically one big first-party game every month. So if they can maintain that, that would be a great way to begin and end 2018 with first parties every month. But right now, for what we know for sure, there are a lot of question marks there, which hopefully the January Direct will address. I'm super excited for Nintendo in 2018, although maybe just slightly concerned in the sense that they've already gotten two of their biggest games out of the way, being Zelda and Mario. And what's cool about that is it opens the gate to, you know, other maybe smaller titles, and there's, you know, any number of ones they could bring back for that if they choose to. Of course, there's also big ones like Animal Crossing that we, you know, hasn't been announced yet, but has to be coming at some point. But the counter to that is, with Mario and Zelda out of the way, are they going to have a big 2018 title? Like, are they going to have a big thing to push? And that's something we'll talk about later. I think it is interesting how they are going into 2018 with their two biggest properties already kind of used up, even if Mario can be used in any number of games, so. Alright, well, I guess with that out of the way, let's get to, I think, one of the biggest question marks of 2018, at least for me, is how the 3DS is going to do. What's going to happen to the 3DS? Because looking at the confirmed games coming to it in 2018, it's looking pretty anemic. From a first-party perspective, I believe we only have one game, being Kirby Battle Royale in January, and then we have 3 games from Atlus, from a third-party perspective. And that's pretty much it confirmed right now. So what do you think? Do you think this is the year where the 3DS finally winds down, or based on the sales of it in 2017, which were apparently pretty strong, do you think that they'll continue to announce more games coming to the platform in the future?
I think we're going to see a few more releases. I don't think they're going to be huge or anything like that, because it does feel like 2018 is, like 2017 was definitely the winding down year. Like 2018 feels like, okay, a couple releases to keep up some nominal support, but this is pretty much it. Because the thing about even Kirby is that already released in Europe back in last year, so
right.
It's there's nothing for Europe first party wise for 2018.
Was it Japan too?
I believe so. So yeah, it's still like super anemic, and I mean, Atlus, good on them for releasing 3 very lengthy RPGs that you can continue to enjoy on the 3DS. Those will be good for it. Otherwise, though, we don't really know what else they can really come out with, and Nintendo's in the position And a lot of companies are in this position where if they announce anything for the 3DS, it's going to be, well, why aren't you putting that on the Switch? you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going to do with that.
Yeah, Nintendo's backed themselves into a bit of a corner with the 3DS because, I mean, just last year they introduced the new 2DS XL, so they clearly see it as a platform that they still, they want to keep supporting, at least for the short term. And I do think we're going to see some of that short-term support in 2018. I fully expect when, this Direct comes around or another Direct comes around, I think we're going to get a few more, just scattered first-party releases in the 3DS, maybe even a few more third parties. This will probably be the last full year for the 3DS, I'm thinking, and the 3DS family of systems, but, it did just get a new cousin in that family last year, so I don't know if I see this being, I think I see at least some more short-term support throughout the year. Maybe by the end of the year things will really have winded down, but yeah, they're in kind of a weird position with the 3DS because they've promised, their consumers that they'll continue to support it, but then they've created this whole contingency of Switch owners who are like, like you said, there's this backlash, like, well, okay, great, but why can't we have this game on the Switch? So it'll be interesting to see how they dance around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a part of the reason we saw decent support for the 3DS in 2017 from Nintendo, at least, was because they were hedging their bets back then with the Switch.
Sure.
But now that the Switch has been a success, and I'm sure Nintendo caught on that pretty early on, I do think this will be the final year of most first-party releases. I think they are going to wind down this year, for sure, and as they probably already started focusing on the Switch as opposed to a platform that really is on its last legs, I think. If they're trying to push 20 million Switches the next fiscal year, they're going to need the games to back that up. And we've seen before Nintendo's had trouble supporting multiple platforms. They've done great so far, but I don't think they can continue that forever. So I do think they're going to shift focus to the Switch, particularly with those games probably drawing, requiring larger teams and budgets in general than a 3DS game would. Beyond the games I just mentioned, though, Detective Pikachu was recently, I believe, rated in Europe, suggesting that it is in fact coming overseas from Japan. And we haven't heard anything from a North American release, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting it too. So I guess that's something I'll be announced in the January Direct.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, the thing is, they gotta put this game out internationally at some point, just because we have that movie coming. It'd be weird to have a movie based on this game that's never released outside of Japan. It's just doesn't make sense. So
I mean, except nothing about the movie makes sense, so it kind of does.
The thing is, I want this game over here. I really do. I don't care whether it comes out on the 3DS or they put it on the Switch or anything like that, but this game is good. I've talked about it a few times. So I want it out there. This might be my final final 3DS game. Yes, I'm done with the Switch forever now. Detective Pikachu is all I need. But yeah, it's definitely going to come. I will be shocked if Detective Pikachu does not release internationally in 2018.
I think it's weird how much secrecy there's been surrounding this game, and even if not secrecy, just it feels like it's taken forever to come out, and all we ever do is hear about it in these weird hushed whispers, like, oh, it got rated in Europe, oh, it might be coming. It's just weird how hush-hush the whole thing is, but I do think it'll probably come this year. That makes sense. I think it'll be among the, small pickings of first-party offerings on the 3DS this year. I do think there will be some more, but I don't think it's going to be that heavy, and I think Detective Pikachu will be one of them. Just going back really quick to those Atlas games we talked about, I just want to say personally, I'm really excited for Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, and that may end up being the last 3DS game that I really get into and really play. Hopefully I have time to play it when it comes out, but I'm really excited about it.
Speaking of Detective Pikachu, or speaking of Pokemon in general, do you think Pokemon is otherwise done on the 3DS, or is there a chance we may see one more mainline game on the platform?
I don't think we're going to get a mainline game on the platform. We might get a spin-off.
Maybe. I could see that, but I think, because they've already got, the Pokemon company has already gone out and said, hey, there's a mainline game coming to the Switch. I don't think, unless it's a port, unless it's a dual release, like a 3DS Switch Gen 8, I don't think so. I think it's going to be straight up on Switch, and we might see some spin-offs, but I do think mainline Pokemon is probably done on 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to take a guess, other than just some random Pokemon game that they never would have predicted, I could see a Mystery Dungeon game filling in the gap.
That's true, yeah. Now, beyond Pokemon, do you think there's a chance we could see any other big first-party titles from Nintendo, such as a new Zelda game for 3DS, perhaps from the A Link Between Worlds team?
It's not impossible. I mean, we already did get 2 games from that team, so it would be, I guess, a little surprising to get a third game, but I'd be all about it, especially because Aonuma has said much to my disappointment many times now, that, all Zelda games going forward must be open air and must have that level of freedom. And that's fine, but I would love to have a top-down 2D Zelda that's just kind of hews closer to, a traditional 2D Zelda experience. I think that would be great.
Do you think that would hit 3DS, though, as opposed to Switch?
That's the question, right?
Right.
And again, that's one of those games where if it is 3DS only, let's say there is one and it's coming to 3DS, people are going to be pissed that it's not on Switch.
Oh, yeah,
I would be upset that it's not on Switch. So, yeah.
I mean, I can. The best way I can see myself not being upset that it's not on the Switch is like if they decide to do like a remake of Link's Awakening or the Oracle games. I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, but people, they just remade Samus Returns and people are already upset that wasn't on Switch.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I'm still like at the scale, like I'm thinking just on the scale of Link Between Worlds. Yeah, I would like to see the Link Between Worlds style used for Link's Awakening, that kind of thing. I think it works very well for the 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the very least, we're going to need some smaller scale Zelda titles in there, I think, because they can't be making Breath of the Wild every couple years, and they want Zelda more often than every 5 years. So
no, but I'll tell you what, if they did remake Link's Awakening with the Link Between Worlds engine, that would like put the 3DS on the map for me in 2018. Like
instead of a paraglider, you could ride the windfish around.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be intense.
All right, so we kind of already started talking about the Switch, so let's go ahead and move into the Switch, because that really is where I think, most people's focus will be in 2018, if not also Nintendo's. And starting off, though, right now we don't know about too many confirmed titles for sure for 2018. Two of which we only found out about recently, being the first two of the year, Bayonetta 1 and 2 on February 16th. Now, those are just ports. Beyond that, we know about Kirby Star Allies coming in the spring. Then we have Yoshi for a vague 2018 release. And then also Fire Emblem. And that is it for confirmed 2018 titles. There are some other games we know are coming, such as Bayonetta 3 at some point, Metroid Prime 4, a Pokemon game on Switch, and of course a new Zelda in development. I guess I didn't specifically say that was for Switch. And that's really it from a first-party perspective.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned about that. Like I said before, that doesn't tell me that, Nintendo doesn't have anything coming up. Of course they do. It just tells me they're not ready to talk about it yet. And we do have that upcoming Nintendo Direct, and I really think that we're going to get a whole slate of upcoming Switch releases. There may be no major release for January, and if not, look, we just got Xenoblade for crying out loud, and Mario. I'm okay. If there isn't a major release every month, I'm not going to dock Nintendo for that, for not having something big in January, Mm-hmm. So
give me time to play my 2018 games.
Yeah, I'm not. Even if they don't have a big release in January, which I kind of don't think they will, it's not a big deal. There's so much coming out every week to supplement that. And I really do think that at this January Direct, we're going to get a whole slate of upcoming Switch titles that we didn't know about, first-party games we didn't know about, revealed for us and to come out in the coming months.
Do you think that would be for games leading up to E3?
Probably. I think we'll probably get like an expanded look at, of course, Kirby Star Allies and probably Yoshi. We might get a tease of something bigger, like, the big, you asked the question before, Andre, kind of, just randomly, well, what else could they push? They've already did Mario and Zelda. The big one I'm thinking, of course, you already know, is Smash. I fully expect Smash this year. I don't know if they'll tease it this early, but I do think they'll give us a really, really nice look at games coming up to E3, but then I think E3 might be the Smash reveal hype day. We'll see.
Yeah, E3 would be the place to do that.
I think this is definitely the year of Smash. I am pretty convinced of that. It's by the point it would probably release. I'm guessing it would be their big November title or October now, going off Mario, whichever. It'd be a fall, big winter release or fall release. And it's been 4 years now since the release of the original 3DS version, almost, or by that point, I mean. Mm-hmm. So I fully expect it'd be a huge multiplayer game, and that is, I think, roughly when it appeared in the Wii or in the Wii's life cycle as well. Which I think at that point for that console was the latest that Smash Bros. Had released, aside from the original game on 64, since that was the first one. So I think that would be a great way to end the year. That would be an amazing title and would help sustain hype throughout the year, because they could just, announce characters leading up to it.
We could do our Smash discussions again.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would be so stoked for that.
Oh, me too. And and just the thought of them having Smash 5 or 4.5, whatever they end up calling it, or whatever it ends up being, just have Smash on the Switch at the end of its, or before the end of its second year. That's great. In addition to everything that's already there, assuming that happens, that's pretty crazy to me.
It's ambitious. And the thing I didn't realize is that it has been that long since Smash Brothers first release, because it felt like it was so just everywhere. That's longer than you'd think. I feel like it's only 2 years old or something like that.
Yeah, I know. It really doesn't feel that old.
Recent.
The DLC really kept it alive for a long time, but I could see that. I can see them start maybe a little tease and then a proper here's what's coming by E3. But yeah, I do expect, if this January Direct is a real thing, which all indication seems to say yes it is, we're just going to see their spring lineup for the most part. And I agree with Ash. I don't think we're going to get any kind of major release for January unless they completely surprise us with something kind of minor, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I could see a port of a Wii U game beyond Bayonetta. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That'd be a quick way to fill in some gaps, such as something I've been championing for quite a while now. HD ports, or more HD ports, I guess, of Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze.
Ooh, that would be good.
Although, there are already so many platformers Nintendo's making, like new platformers coming to, like first-party games coming to the Switch. I mean, I'd love to have more, and I'd love to have ports of that game, ports of those games. It's just weird when you consider they've got Kirby, they've got Yoshi.
That's true.
They are. Nintendo's just churning out those 2D platformers right now.
I think maybe a better option would be a port of Pikmin 3, because we still have the nebulous Pikmin 4 coming at some point. I don't know.
That's a good question. Is that a 2018 title?
Hell if I know. Everything we've heard, it could have been a 2015 title.
I know.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was supposed to be, it seems like. I mean, that is something I could see announced possibly in the January Direct. But I don't think that's a game that needs to be announced at E3 necessarily. They could. Who knows? It's Nintendo. But I could definitely see that sooner. I could see that being like a surprise title.
I could see that being a good April spring title. Or maybe just sort of like Splatoon, like, hey, it's coming, and then it releases in July.
Yeah, I could see something happening with Pikmin this year. Oh, well, and I'm also thinking Animal Crossing, as you said, Andre. I think it was you.
Oh, we'll see. That'll be another big one. Yeah, that could also be...
Like, Animal Crossing, I feel like it's time, especially to coincide with Pocket Camp. I feel like they'll maybe want to do some sort of connectivity or communication between the two games. So you've got that, and then you've got... then there's also the Mario Maker factor. We were talking about Smash, but then, on the subject of Wii U ports, obviously I don't think Mario Maker's going to be a Wii U port, but... there is that too, and there's no way Nintendo's not going to have Mario Maker on Switch. There's just no way. So is that this year, along with Smash, or is that it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm feeling this year has to be the year of Smash and Animal Crossing. If they throw Mario Maker into that, it would be. I feel like it would be a proper sequel too. It'd be Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, I don't know if it's coming this year or not. Like, that one's baffling to me. So
my gut tells me they'd wait another year for that one.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see it coming early, like 2019 or mid-2019, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, you were going to say something a few moments ago.
Well, I guess I'm trying to determine in my head is like which one will come first, Kirby Star Allies or Yoshi? Because they have a spring release date set for Kirby Star Allies, but at E3 last year we actually got gameplay of the Yoshi game during the Treehouse segment. So which one's further along in development? Which one will come out first? And I'm having trouble with them because we're going off the assumption that Bayonetta's our February game. So our March game would either have to be Yoshi or Kirby, and then of course April for the other one. My assumption is that they're going to be pretty close to one another, but again, I could be completely off on that.
My guess is Kirby comes first because it's the only one with a name right now. It feels further along in production to me. I mean, it actually has a final name and a final logo, whereas Yoshi is just Yoshi. So I kind of see Kirby Star Allies being like a spring game, and Yoshi being a summer game, like a sleepy, like in the middle of July or August, kind of one of those cool, hey, here's a cool game that you want to play over summer that may not have the power to stand out during the holidays or one of the more competitive seasons, but is still an exciting game nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm also, like, well, you spoke of Fire Emblem. We're definitely going to get a blowout of the next Fire Emblem game at the Direct.
January?
Yeah, I'm almost positive of that fact, because we're either going to get Fire Emblem in May, which is typically the time they release the Fire Emblem games, or they're going to go big and maybe go for the November release or September. But I see May more often.
Well, isn't that usually when they launch? I guess, well, a little bit earlier in the year, I suppose, typically, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if Fire Emblem could be maybe like a September-October game, kind of like, I guess, Fire Emblem Warriors was this year, but they would need to allow room. I don't see Fire Emblem, they're not going to position Fire Emblem as their big October or November 21st,
No.
18th release. That's not going to happen. It'll either be Smash or...
If they do it like Fire Emblem Warriors, it could release it a week before one other big game and no one pays any attention.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Or they could do the Xenoblade thing where they position it after the big release. What if that's Smash? They do it in December.
It could be. The thing is, they have to handle... I really feel like they have to handle Fire Emblem very carefully for what it is, because while Echoes, I think, recovered a lot of things, there's still a lot of... That was a remake. The next new one, they got to be very wary of what direction they go in, because people weren't a fan of the structure of Fates and how they handled a lot of things. So I'm not sure where they're going to go with this one and what ideas they might bring to the table, because it's popular, but I think its popularity isn't quite the same level it was before. Again, I'm not positive of that fact, but I think they really need to show something special for it to be a fall release.
I actually have a question for you guys. What the hell has Retro been working on, and will we see it this year? What the hell are they doing over there?
No way we're seeing it during January. If we're going to see it,
No.
it's going to be E3.
It's like literally, what are they doing?
That is a great question. I mean, that's kind of the thing, because right now our imaginary calendar already feels like it's getting a little bit crowded in that fourth quarter. I mean, I guess they don't have to release them all during fourth quarter, but I'm thinking Smash should definitely be their fourth quarter title, assuming that happens at all this year, but I'm pretty confident it would. But then we have Animal Crossing, we have Retro's title, which you would also think might possibly be a fourth quarter game, but it doesn't have to be. It could be, it could be one of those games that comes early in the next year. Tropical Freeze came early 2014, 2015, whenever it came out. It came out early in the year. So, yeah, I mean, that could be one of the games that they announced for, like, somewhat close, but in the next year, like 9 months away or something during E3.
Sure, I could see that happening.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. So, speaking of games that we don't know much about, I want to ask you guys, what do you think the odds are of the next few games coming out this year? Bayonetta 3, is that hitting in 2018?
I don't think so.
It
doesn't feel like it to me.
Yeah, if we're going to get it, it's going to come late. And I don't know if that's the best timing for Bayonetta.
I think spring 2019 for Bayonetta 3.
Maybe even February 2019.
When did Bayonetta 2 come out again?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
I feel like it was May. Nope, September. I was so wrong.
Oh, September. Okay, so so maybe we'll get it in September.
Yeah, I don't.
If it's not, if not
it.
September, then next year, early next year.
Yeah, I think it's 2019.
So, I'm actually thinking it'll come out this year. Because I think it makes sense to have the re-releases early in the year, get people hyped up for the third one, and release it, not too long after that point, 6 to 9 months later. So I could definitely see that happening.
That is true. The fact that we're getting the re-releases so early would indicate that 3 is farther along than we thought.
I'm still making on 2019 for that, though.
I mean, I guess if you go, granted, we had that interview early in 2017 or mid-2017, where the developer was answering questions about Bayonetta 3 in a very vague way that did suggest they weren't very far in development. But we've seen that time and time again where developers, kind of tease things like that when they actually have a pretty solid idea what's happening with the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason I feel that way is just because the tease we got at the Game Awards was so, again, there was no logo. It almost felt like a concept trailer. I mean, and again, that means nothing. That just may be what they wanted to show us to give us that feeling and throw us off the scent. I mean, we could come to E3 and we get another trailer. Hey guys, Bayonetta 3 coming out September. That's possible.
What's funny is Derek actually did a whole video where he looked at the past Bayonetta teaser trailers, and they all follow that exact same template, so...
Yeah, so that's possible then. Maybe we'll be looking at Bayonetta 3 late this year.
Okay, Metroid Prime 4, is that 2018?
No way.
No.
Yep, I agree. That's not happening. Not a chance.
No way.
But, will we see it this year?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We'll definitely get to see more of it, what it might be bringing to the table, but we won't get it. No way.
We'll get a proper re-reveal, like with actual footage. I absolutely believe that, but there's no way it's coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it'd be playable at E3?
No.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't think so either. They do tend to focus on games coming out that year for playable builds. Not
that is
always,
true.
but...
I mean, unless they go all in on like, really promote... Like, if Metroid Prime 4 ends up being their, Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, I don't see why it would be. I don't think that's going to end up happening.
I don't think so. I mean, granted, we've already filled in the release calendar with a lot of games that may not happen. But based on that imaginary calendar, I don't see Metroid Prime Metroid Prime 4 fitting in there. And it just doesn't seem like it's that far in development based on, obviously the trailer last year and just things we've heard or haven't heard.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't necessarily need to come out in 2018. I mean,
No.
Metroid Samus Returns just came out and reinvigorated the franchise,
And people are excited
proof
for it.
of
They
life,
can wait
so-
for it. And
Yeah.
No, that's all good. Actually, I do have a question about the games for you two that I just thought of. Do you think they're going to have motion controls like Metroid Prime 3, or are they going to go closer to the original Metroid Primes and actually, for the first time, use twin sticks for the series? Since
That's a great question.
Since we don't have the GameCube C-Stick this time.
I hope it's both.
That's what I'm guessing too. I think it could be both. If they choose only one, though, I think they would go with the dual stick setup. Just because, straight up, the motion controls don't work, or the pointer controls don't work quite as well on the Switch as it did on the Wii, because you need to recalibrate it constantly, probably every minute or so. It depends on how you're playing. But hopefully they have both. But I'm thinking they will design it with twin stick controls in mind.
That's a good point. That's a shame too, because you're right. I think that's true about the Switch's pointer controls not being quite as good, which is a shame, because I actually was one of the people who was a huge fan of the way Prime 3 changed up the controls and just did pointer controls, and I really wanted that to return. So my choice would be pointer controls because I'm terrible at shooters. However, I'm going to play the game either way. But I actually, that's a good point, Andre. I think if they had to go with one or the other, because of what you said, I think it actually might be twin stick.
Although, I'm going to throw a wrench in the works here. This is assuming that it is very similar to the past Metroid Primes. That's a first-person game. If
That's
they go
also
third-person, they could use a Splatoon-like setup where it has both control, at the same time, where you control with a control stick or motion controls.
That's true. I would be shocked.
The Prime series is sort of known for it being first person. Even Prime Hunters was first person. Prime Federation Force was first person. The only Prime game I can think of that wasn't first person was Pinball.
Yeah, I kind of think it
true.
will be first person. I'm pretty sure of that.
Can you imagine a pinball game in first person?
Oh my!
That
I'd be
actually
sick.
would be sick. Yeah.
Put that in VR.
Yeah.
Moving on, Pokemon Switch. I can't remember, was that announced for 2018 or just that it was coming?
Just that it was coming.
Okay, so 2018, is that happening?
It all depends on how much work they've put into it. Because here's the thing: we've gotten those rumors now, and they are extremely unconfirmed with a lot of aspects to them. At least some of them come from sources that have been right in the past, as far as saying that, for example, an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Rainbow Rocket was going to be a thing. So they at least have some clout when it comes to the location and the script being done and all that stuff. So that stuff makes sense. It's the new battle system that's throwing everybody off. But personally, just disregarding all that, I can't really see a Pokemon game. I feel like it would take a lot more development, especially, I don't know, unless they've been working on it behind the scenes for a lot longer than we thought. I just feel like they need a little bit more time to have their first console Pokemon game ready,
Well, there were those Stars rumors, the Pokemon Stars rumors, which of course didn't end up happening. But I believe Eurogamer followed up on the article recently, where I think they may have mentioned the idea that it was a possibility and that it was more of an experimenting on the Switch, perhaps. Mm-hmm. So, regardless, I feel like they probably have been playing with the idea around for a while, and I'd actually be surprised if we don't see Pokemon on Switch. But here's what I feel like. I feel like there's gonna be a mainline Pokemon game no matter what. We've already kind of ruled out the 3DS, so I think it has to be on Switch.
True, but most years there is a new Pokemon mainline release.
Right.
But it doesn't happen every year. I think there's like 3 or 4 years in the 20 years they've been around that they missed. But if we do get it, when I say 2019, it might even be as early as they've had Pokemon games released in February. Just more recently they've done the November time slot. And the thing is, if you have a console Pokemon game for November on the Switch, you don't need Smash Brothers, There's your big title. There's your big selling item.
I mean, you're absolutely right, and that could maybe make Smash an early 2019 title, like Brawl was on the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's possible too. It's really hard to say. It's funny because on first blush, no, I don't think Pokemon Switch would make 2018. But of all of these games that we've been talking about, it actually feels in a weird way like the likeliest. I kind of more expect Pokemon Switch in 2018 more than Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4, even though I don't really necessarily expect Pokemon Switch this year. So it's or 2018. So it's kind of weird. I don't really, but at the same time, I can see it happening. I've got this little inkling that they've been playing around with the idea and prototyping and working on Pokemon for the Switch much longer than we may have realized.
Yeah, I would not be surprised by that at all.
Alright, I think that covers it for part 1 of our Nintendo 2018 predictions. Join us next time as we talk about third-party releases for the Switch, as well as Nintendo's other ventures like mobile. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on the Switch and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.